On today's video, I'm going to teach you how to improve your cold calling contact rates. And one of the secrets is it doesn't start with the phone and thinking about picking up and dialing the phone number. Here are kind of the key features to increasing your cold calling contact rate. The first thing you need to do is go behind the phone, right? And think about the context in which that particular prospect is going to encounter your cold call, right? So here it is, right? This is my phone. When you call a prospect, whether it's age leads, an internet lead, a real-time lead, any type of lead where the consumer has provided their contact information in the context of what we often talk about here, business to consumer, B2C, right? Not B2B. Actually, even in B2B, this is the facts of the world, right? When they give you that phone number, it's going to be this thing, right? It's not going to be a desk phone. It's not going to be a business number. It's going to be their cell phone. Even if it's in the context of B2B, it's probably going to be their personal cell phone, right? Because more and more businesses in general, even very large organizations, are no longer sort of providing phones, right? Because most of the communication, even outside of that organization, is via Zoom, right? Or some sort of video conferencing. So there's no need for them to give you a business phone number and give you a desk phone anymore. Okay, so I just want to level set everything with context, right? This is what you're calling, right? So now how are we going to make a cold call effective, right? First things first, right? We need to get some technology involved. So the moment that lead comes in, or the first time that you're going to communicate with that lead, I would recommend not starting with the cold call, right? Is starting with some other channel that gets you into the field of view. Because here's what's going to happen when you make that first call. You make that first call, because you're in sales, you're probably going to be a high volume caller. So even in the best organizations with the best reputations and the best call processes, because of what carriers do on these devices, you're going to show up as a telemarketer, spam likely, or something other than what you want to show up with, right? So even if they've come to your website, they've inquired with you, they know your brand, there's a good chance that your inbound phone call, even if they want to answer it, will not register on their phone in such a way that's going to sort of convince or make them comfortable in picking up that call. All right. So what we're going to do first is we're going to send out, depending on what permissions you have, right? We're going to send out a text message and an email, right? The text message, and again, the best context of this is a real-time lead, right? You're buying a lead, it's given to you in real time, you're generating a lead off your website, it comes to you in real time. Ideally, again, a lot of times we're talking business, B2C, but this also works in B2B. The first thing you want to do is you want to send out a text message, ideally, that says, hey, I just got your inquiry. I'm taking a look at it. I'm going to give you a phone call in a few minutes, right? So what that does, text message, is it gets past the lock screen, right? Text messages are going to come up here. Even strange text messages are going to come up here, right? The other thing you want to do, and if you don't have permission to text message, this works just as well, is you also want to send an email. Again, automation is the best way to do this because as soon as it comes into the system, just kick out an automated standard email, right? And it's going to say a similar thing. It's like, hey, this is Bill Rice. I just got your information that you submitted on the website. Again, that works for both, right? Whether you're lead buying or whether you're working on something that comes off your own website. If you're doing age leads, it's probably a little bit different. As you're sending an email that says, "Hey, this is Bill Rice. I'm reaching out to you. Looks like you filled something out on the website a couple of months ago. Wasn't able to make contact, but and then you go on with sort of your connection language, right? But we're going to send this email, and we're going to do something very similar to what we did with the text message. The only other thing you're going to do is, here's all of my contact information, right? You want to give them easy ways to contact you, right? You want to give them your phone number. Obviously, they'll have your email, but it's okay to type that out again, right? Just in case for whatever reason. That doesn't register, and sometimes it doesn't. The other thing you want to do on that email that you don't necessarily do on your first text message, you may do it on subsequent text messages in your campaign, is you're going to say, hey, if it's easier for you or more convenient for you, you can simply schedule an appointment with me, right? And use this link. It's amazing how many people will take advantage of that. They'll schedule it. It puts them in control. So definitely include a scheduling link in that email. Now, the nice thing if you can use text and email together is you will have essentially gotten on their radar with the text message. And so they'll know who you are. They'll know that you're the assigned agent or the assigned loan officer. They'll know your name. And when it comes into their email box, there's a better chance of that email getting open and being attended to, right? And then very quickly after that, as quickly as possible, right? But again, now you're not in any sort of fire drill, right? You're not trying to race, if you're in the mortgage industry, you're not trying to race rocket to the first call, right? Because you've already told them, hey, I've got it. I'm taking care of it. I'm taking a look at it. I'm going to call you and we're going to have a conversation. Now you make that first phone call, right? So a couple things have happened here that will help that cold call go through, or that first inbound call, even in the context of age leads, right? If you're doing age leads, if you preface that call with a couple of communications, here's a few mechanisms that will help you, right? If it's a text message that you used initially, you will actually more than likely be identified as being associated with that text message, right? And boom. So you're going to come through as a known call, right? So in the best case, that will happen. In the worst case, you still come up with something that doesn't make them comfortable answering that call, but you're going to leave a voice message. Why are you going to leave a voice message? Because a voice message on this device is very similar to a text message, right? Because when that voice message gets left, it's going to be translated. It's going to go voice to text. It's going to turn into essentially a text message, and it's going to go past the lock screen, right? So they're going to see that they have a voicemail, and they're probably going to look at it because they don't have to answer it. They don't have to listen to it. They're just going to read it, and it will be associated with the other communications that you've already left. So now they're saying, okay, person's trying to get a hold of me. They've been respectful, but they've been also persistent, right? They are trying to get a hold of me. I've inquired, even in the context of an age lead, whether it's an old lead sitting in your CRM that you haven't tried to reach in a while, or it's an age lead that you've purchased. You're essentially saying, hey, I'm trying to reconnect with you again, right? Again, and you've been politely persistent in this case. Make sure you leave a voicemail. In the olden days, a lot of times we wouldn't leave voicemails, right? We would, and you still hear this, like we'll do the 3 calls in a row, right? Which is kind of annoying, right? You're kind of setting yourself up to already be in that annoying bucket of sales. And there were some other reasons to kind of not leave a voicemail, right? But the day and age where you try to sort of sneak up on somebody, just doesn't work, right? So go ahead and leave that voicemail so that they can read it, right? And in those cases where they actually listen to it, they'll also hear your voice, and hopefully you're leaving a pleasant voicemail. The other technique that I really like to do, again, because you want to put yourself in the bucket of polite persistence, right, is on that voicemail, a lot of times people, especially younger people, have some anxiety around the phone, right? And actually talking to someone on the phone. Younger people don't do that. They don't talk to their friends on the phone, in general. I'm making some broad generalizations, but they're much more comfortable in text. They're much more comfortable doing text messages and those sorts of things. And they don't have a lot of phone conversations, right? So the other thing that you can do on that voicemail is leave a voicemail that says, hey, don't bother calling me back. Just take a look at my email and go ahead and schedule an appointment where we can get on a video call and we can work through your situation, or we can look for the best product for you, or we can look for some options for you. Again, you're lowering that anxiety around the sales conversation, right? That nobody kind of wants to have, but they have a need, right? They've obviously inquired with you at some point. Or they've inquired online at some point. So those are great ways to make that cold call go through. Again, think about what you're calling this device, and think about how to make sort of an introduction that lowers that person's anxiety around a sales conversation, and also introduces you in such a way that you actually register inside of their device through multiple channels as a good guy or a good gal, and not necessarily a spammer or telemarketer or any of those sorts of things. So it's a call they want to take, or it's an appointment they want to schedule. So again, for the most part, more and more, we're again trying to connect with them through multiple channels, get to their preference, because they are going to have a preference for one over the other. You'll probably get a much higher response rate because one of those will be the most convenient and the most comfortable for them, and they'll respond. And we're going to try to play for the appointment, right? Because that, again, because of Zoom and the way people operate and the way we've been conditioned to have these video chats, that's probably going to be your best opportunity, because they can control their schedule, they can have the conversation when they're ready, and again, they can make that appointment when they're ready. And it's better for you too, because it's giving you a list of appointments. They've actually committed, they're willing to have a conversation. You're not trying to sneak up on them and hope that they're not in the middle picking their kids up from soccer or band practice or whatever, and then trying to convince them to stay on the phone with you for 20 minutes so that you can write a policy or get a loan application. So hopefully that's helped to improve your cold calling contact rates. We'll see you on the next one.